It's interesting to consider that we have materially secured our needs as a collective society in ways that would leave our ancestors astounded. We live with a level of abundance that might have been inconceivable to those that came before. We live in a world of riches. We enjoy a level of material comfort that is unfathomable. And yet, we're learning very quickly that securing our material needs is simply not enough. We are creatures of mind and meaning. We are creatures of story. We are creatures sustained not just by food and shelter, but by narrative, but by self-story, but by collective story. And so as our self-stories and our collective stories fracture underneath our feet, we're feeling increasingly adrift. We're feeling increasingly lost. We're feeling increasingly like we're losing our marbles, and we are losing our marbles, and the material comforts simply are not enough. I'm talking about the mental health crisis that has really characterized this moment in the 21st century. According to the World Health Organization, more people die by suicide than die from natural disasters and armed conflict combined. So people are taking their own lives in numbers greater than what we're seeing in war zones. So the real existential danger for the average individual in the Western world is his own mind. And the tools that we have been using, the tools we have been deploying to sustain this 21st century normal, as Jamie Wheal calls it, is simply sickening us even more. Psychiatry isn't working. Psychotherapy needs to be upended. Enter psychedelics. The psychedelic revolution in some ways is a return to a more animistic understanding of self and world, kind of more intuitive and shamanic, and maybe call it spiritual intuition about how to amend the issues of our inner life. In some sense, the reason man has used psychedelics for thousands of years ceremoniously is because these compounds provide a different kind of psychotherapy, one that addresses not just our material needs, but the needs of our psyche. And so there is a return. Modernity is finally catching up to antiquity, and there is a return to this kind of wisdom. We're seeing clinical trials studying the effects of psychedelics in ways that are addressing the storytelling crisis that is fracturing our inner collective life. And people are healing from anxiety, from depression, from PTSD, from OCD, from the entropic brain, from the over-rumination that characterizes all of these pathologies of mind. We're healing them all together in a whole new way that can scale. This is the psychedelic revolution. And there's a lot of players in this space. There's a lot of people trying to change the world by implementing new scaffoldings, building new infrastructure where we can address the spiritual crisis of our time using psychedelics and using science, right? Coupling those worlds together, using that indigenous wisdom and intuition and scaling it using the tools of infrastructure and potentially even capitalism at its best. It's a revolution of the mind that could potentially allow us to finally up-level ourselves in a whole new way. As Jamie Wheal famously said, maybe we can render ourselves whole, and then maybe we can render ourselves holy. Or as Houston Smith said, maybe we can turn those passing illuminations, those moments of understanding, into abiding light. We can finally turn ourselves into something that can heal. And it's an important thing, friends. The very future of our species says that this is so. And I guess the question is really whether we're willing to step up to the plate together, to put our resources, to deliberately work together, come together, deploy the tools, the resources at the scale that can address this crisis in a way that can help everyone. Because if not, what a fucking shame. Let's do this, friends. Let's do this together.